Mr. Case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a proud member of our Commerce, Justice, Science Subcommittee, I rise in very strong support of this measure, which makes major investments in climate change mitigation, marine conservation, economic development, scientific advancement, and law enforcement for our country at a critical time in our nation's history. But first, like several of my colleagues already, which is gratifying, I want to recognize the over $1 billion increase this bill provides to our National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a tremendous agency that has been really underfunded and marginalized in recent years, but is now coming back. And we have made a tremendous investment in one of our nation's leading science agencies on the front lines of the battle for our oceans, land, and air against climate change. NOAA's programs span the entire country and provide critical services that protect our coasts, conserve our oceans and marine species, and prepare us for unpredictable, severe weather patterns that threaten our heartlands and beyond. I'm especially grateful for the funding provided by this bill for the repair and maintenance of our atmospheric baseline observatories, including the Mauna Loa Observatory in my state of Hawaii. Mauna Loa is where the world-renowned Keeling curve was developed that proves beyond doubt the alarming increase in carbon dioxide in our atmosphere over just decades. These funds for maintenance and repair will ensure that these invaluable observatories will continue to provide the critical data and science we need to effectively combat climate change. Like my colleague, Ms. Wasserman-Schultz, I note that the $5 million increase in NOAA's Coral Reef Conservation Program is especially critical to Hawaii, Florida, and the U.S. territories that have the coral reefs of our country. Climate change, pollution, and other harmful human activities are killing our coral reefs nationwide and globally at an alarming rate. And the funding in this relatively small program goes a long way in supporting our efforts to conserve and protect our nation's and world's coral reefs. I want to also recognize the historic investments this bill makes in economic development and scientific advancement. While our national economy is on a path to recovery and millions of new jobs have been added in the past few months, we cannot lose that momentum. This bill keeps it going with significant increases to the Minority Business Development Agency, the Economic Development Agency, the Manufacturing Extension Partnerships Program, and much more. The major funding in this bill to our National Science Foundation and the National Institute of Standards and Technology will also go a long way in supporting U.S. innovation and scientific leadership at a time when both our partners and competitors are forging ahead in areas like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and more. I also want to acknowledge our increased investments in STEM education, including through the $10 million increase in NASA's Minority University Research and Education Program. Lastly, I note, as many of my colleagues, that this bill provides significant increases to the burn justice assistance grants and community-oriented policing services programs that are critical to our local and state law enforcement agencies nationwide. At the same time, I believe this bill establishes reasonable and fair conditions on those funds aimed at implementing meaningful reform where warranted. I appreciate the leadership of our chair and ranking member and the partnership with all of our subcommittee colleagues in producing a measure that meets the challenges of these times. Thank you.
Ms. Kaplan.